Peace be upon you, and the mercy of Allah and His blessings. Dear readers, this is not merely a clip. It is a living glimpse of a historic moment. Let us take you to the land of Qadian. O sky, you have created a witness for me. The moon and the sun have become dark and dim for me. The Muslim Ummah awaited the arrival of Imam Mahdi with great anticipation. The prophecy of his coming and the signs by which he could be recognized were clearly stated by the Holy Prophet. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. إن لمهدينا آيتين لم تكونا منذ خلق الله السماوات والأرض ينخسف القمر في أول ليلة من رمضان وتنخسف الشمس في النصف منه. English translation. For our Mahdi there are two signs which have never appeared since Allah created the heavens and the earth. The moon will be eclipsed on the first night of Ramadan, and the sun will be eclipsed in the middle of it. These extraordinary signs were meant to announce the advent of Imam Mahdi, fulfilling the divine promise and guidance for the Ummah. For our Mahdi, two signs have been appointed, and since the creation of the heavens and the earth, these signs have not appeared for any other appointed one. These are that in the month of Ramadan, the moon will be eclipsed on the first of its appointed nights for an eclipse, and the sun will be eclipsed on the middle of its appointed days for an eclipse. Allah Almighty had mentioned many prophecies in the Holy Quran and Hadith to manifest the truthfulness of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace and blessings be upon him. Among them was the prophecy of the eclipse of the sun and the moon during the month of Ramadan. Allah Almighty stated in the Holy Quran, 75:7-10, فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ سَبْعَ وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ ثَلَثًا وَجُمِعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ تِسْعَ يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر. Ashru. English translation. So when the sight is dazzled, and the moon is eclipsed, and the sun and the moon are brought together, on that day man will say, where is the escape? Quran 75:7-10. When Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace and blessings be upon him, announced in late 1890 that he was the promised Messiah and shortly thereafter the promised Mahdi, many opponents remarked that the Hadith states that when Imam Mahdi appears, the sun and moon will be eclipsed, but this sign had not yet appeared to confirm his truthfulness. Hazrat Mirza Maud, may Allah be pleased with him, stated in Tafsir-e-Kabir, Volume 10, that there was a Maulvi in Gujarat who used to prevent people from joining the Jamaat of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, look, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said that when Imam Mahdi, peace be upon him, appears, the sign of the eclipse of the sun and moon will manifest. Since no such sign has appeared yet, why are you joining his Jamaat? While he was still alive in 1894, the moon and the sun were eclipsed during the month of Ramadan. When the eclipse occurred, he climbed onto the roof and began saying, look, now people will be misled, meaning he had previously demanded this very prophecy, but when Allah Almighty showed the sign, he started misleading people through it. God is all-powerful, and His decree had come into motion. Accordingly, on 13th Ramadan, corresponding to March 21st, 1894, the moon was eclipsed, and on 28 Ramadan, corresponding to April 6, 1894, the sun was eclipsed. Many people came to Qadian to witness this sign. Among those mentioned in history is Hazrat Mirza Ayub Baig Sahib, may Allah be pleased with him, who was from Kila Nau or Kila Darshan Singh. When he learned that the sign was about to manifest, he set out a night earlier and, traveling on foot, reached Qadian from Batala. It was dark, the sky was covered with clouds, and lightning was flashing, but despite this, he arrived. His account is recorded in Ashab-e Ahmad, Volume 1, stating that they witnessed the eclipse on the roof of Masjid Mubarak, where arrangements had been made to offer the Salat ul-Kusuf and Khusuf, prayer for solar and lunar eclipses. Accordingly, the prayer was offered. Maulvi Muhammad Ahsan Sahib led the prayer, and it was a very long prayer. Thus those people, along with Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace and blessings be upon him, witnessed with their own eyes the fulfillment of the prophecy of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, in the presence of the one about whom the prophecy was made. This was such a grand prophecy and such a great blessing for them that the Ummah had been waiting for it for 1300 years, and it was fulfilled before their eyes, and they saw it all. When Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, saw the lunar eclipse, he was immediately convinced that on April 6th, which was 28 Ramadan, the sun would also be eclipsed. Many people had applied soot to glass to observe the eclipse. When the sun began to be slightly eclipsed, someone informed Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, that the sun was being eclipsed. He looked through a glass and noticed a very faint darkness, meaning the eclipse had just begun. He, peace be upon him, remarked that they had seen the eclipse, but it was so faint that it might escape the notice of the general public, and thus such a grand prophecy's sign might become ambiguous. He mentioned this several times, but shortly afterward, the eclipse on the sun began to increase until most of the sun was darkened. Seeing this, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, was immensely pleased and offered profound thanks to Allah Almighty. The attendees, along with Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, offered the Salat ul-Kusuf at Masjid Mubarak. After the fulfillment of this sign, a great commotion arose in India. Many people accepted Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the promised Messiah, peace be upon him, and joined this blessed Jamaat. Thus, Allah Almighty majestically manifested this sign. Conclusion. The occurrence of the lunar and solar eclipses during Ramadan in 1894 in the Indian subcontinent and in 1895 in the Western world, as evidenced by Hadith, the Quran, and modern scientific records, such as NASA's eclipse catalogs and the British Astronomical Journal 1895, is an astonishing and magnificent event that became a clear heavenly sign of the truthfulness of Hazrat Imam Mahdi, peace be upon him. These astronomical phenomena were not mere natural events, but a splendid and divine manifestation of the prophecy of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, confirmed by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, as himself in his books Tadhkirat ush Shahadatain, Nur ul Haq, and Asmani Faisla. The tradition of a Mujaddid, reformer in Islam, is an established truth. At the beginning of every century, Allah Almighty sends a Mujaddid for the reformation of the Muslim Ummah, as stated in Sunan Abu Dawud Hadith 42 number 1. إن الله يبعث لهذه الأمة على رأس كل 100 سنة من يجدد لها دينها. English translation. Indeed, Allah will raise for this Ummah at the head of every century someone who will renew its religion for it. Sunan Abu Dawud Hadith 4291. Mujaddids have kept the teachings of the religion alive and protected it from trials. In the 14th century, the great prophecy of Ahmadiyya is Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani, peace be upon him. Allah Almighty appointed him as the Mujaddid, Imam Mahdi, and promised Messiah. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad provided spiritual training in light of the Quran and Hadith. He waged jihad with wisdom against Christianity, Hinduism, Arya Samaj, Darwinism, and atheism. He refuted the incorrect interpretations of jihad and exposed the true spirit of jihad by the pen. This was a great inspiration from Allah Almighty. The pride of the Ummah of the seal of the prophets, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is evident. The lunar and solar eclipses bore witness. This sign was in accordance with the Quran and Hadith, and the true Mujaddid, promised Messiah, and Imam Mahdi of the 14th century is Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. Some people reject his claim but accept the Mujaddids of the previous 13 centuries. Denying the Mujaddid of the 14th century contradicts the Hadith. This deprives one of the spiritual light that keeps the religion alive. May Allah Almighty grant everyone the ability to accept the truth and protect them from misguidance. Ameen. If you wish to study further, please visit www.alislam.org for more information. With best wishes written by Sheikh Mohammed Wasim, Hayat Barry, North Ontario, Canada. Date, August 27, 2025.